Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for September for the Sun or the Ascendant. As ever, I'm going to give you the key strands to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the key dates and influences relevant to your sign. Now, as this month begins, the Sun is high in the sky. So it's pushing you to raise your profile, to think about your goals and ambitions. And there are going to be some marvellous opportunities to make progress. Also, Mars, the planet of drive and passion, is now in house 7 for you, which can make you more assertive about your boundaries, but also make you more competitive. And that's forging a great link with Mercury for the first 10 days. Now, of course, Mercury is going to be going retrograde this month and moving through 2 signs as it does, reversing back into your sector of success from the 23rd. So I will be probing that, but I also need to tell you about an incredibly positive new moon which occurs on the 25th, which is going to be connecting to your ruling planet of Jupiter. Now, I know Jupiter's in retrograde for the whole of this month, but I still think this can be a very enabling influence for you. So I'm really excited to tell you about that too. If you are wanting to embrace more serious astrology and rise above this zodiac forecast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life, help you to identify opportunities, but also see patterns that may have made at times your life more challenging and learn how to work around these. But in my special offer of 30% off, if you order this year, I'll give you your year 2023 forecast within this package, but also the rest of 2022 free. Please see the link below. And finally, if you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. If you've already done so, thank you so much for your support. But if not, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Thank you. So Sagittarius, as you come into September, the Sun's in house 10, Venus is in your sector of travel, higher education, and perhaps appreciation of more cultural stuff. So if you find yourself going to an art gallery or a show or watching a band, Venus will give you lots of opportunities to enjoy that. If you are fortunate enough to be away on a vacation, then that can increase your appreciation of any cultural things that you encounter on that journey. But as I said before, Mars, the planet of drive and passion, is in a very combative part of your situation, and it will be so through till next March the 25th. So a great opportunity to get on the front foot where you want to share your talents and test yourself out. If you're a sporty archer, this really can see you doing very well. Now, Mercury is in its shadow period at the start of this month, but it's also in your sector of friendship. So your connection to people that you have a real simpatico with, and where you can sort of, G each other up and mutually contribute different insights or energies, that can be really good. So despite the shadow, I think that Mercury and Mars can be good for you at the start of this month. However, on the 5th, Venus moves to the top of your chart too. And charm can get you everywhere when it comes to cultivating your professional advancement. But from the 10th through to the 15th, the position of the Sun does pick up with an angle to Saturn in your sector of everyday communications, and that continues in its retrograde, and it is in a tightening and rasping right angle with Uranus, the planet of freedom. So one's about constraint, one's about escaping that restraint. So I think tension can still be quite a feature of this month. This particular aspect reaches its peak from the 2nd through till the 12th of October. They don't quite come into exact contact like they did last year on 3 occasions. and they were pretty close together at the start of 2022 as well. So managing stress is going to be part of what you need to do this month. So with the ambitious energies that Venus and the Sun are creating for you, the best way to deal with stress, I think, is to try to be as flexible as possible in your approach to how things come up and how you react to them. Now, because you're a mutable sign, flexibility is something you understand. But the problem is that Uranus is rooted in the most inflexible of all signs, the sign of Taurus. And also Uranus is not at its happiest in this sign. So Taurus is very much about staying with what we know. So if there's something that's pushing you to change, but also equally something that's seeing you resist change, and that could be that you have a set of ideals or belief systems that are kind of baked in, and Uranus may be provoking and pushing you to change those. And if you are a bit reluctant to do so, that can create the inner tension. Also, just the part of you that wants to be conscientious is competing with another natural part of your nature to be a free spirit. So if you want to make progress in your professional sphere this month, I think there is going to be the need to recognize that Uranus is saying that change is inevitable. Things can't stay as they have been in the past. And if you are resisting that change, as I said, even in your thinking or your responses, that can make it a bit more difficult for you. However, in week 2, Uranus comes up trumps. It forges a great angle with the Sun, and your position, which comes from the Sun in Virgo, links well with your potential embracing of innovation. So some kind of new opportunity can come about very, very quickly, or you can be the innovator, as you often are. You can often see where trends are heading because you're very future orientated. Your ruler Jupiter is about growth. So there is a chance to use the restless energies of Uranus to your absolute advantage in week 2. But then on the 10th, Mercury does slam on the brakes formally, goes into the retrograde. There could be some cross wires with some friends between then and the 23rd, or maybe your own long-term thoughts and ideas can be quite changeable. If that happens, try to be philosophical about it. The full moon, which occurs on the 10th, is asking you to balance that classic work-life scenario where we're trying to make sure that we keep ourselves in hearth and home, but at the same time we're wanting to sort of be effective in terms of our goals and ambitions. We can't really prosper professionally if we're not really settled at home or our support systems are not very well set up. Once more, Uranus is in the mix, asking you to be flexible and not too hung up on how it has been in the past. So you may find yourself being pulled around a little bit as events unfold, but your key focus will be on your goals. And if you really want to break through, you may be up for going through the pain of some discomfort. No gain without pain, that old saying. However, in week 3, I think your physical energy could take a little bit of a dip as Neptune goes opposite the Sun. As much as you may want to reach for the stars, your sensitivity could in some ways not see you sabotage your ambitions, but it just means that you need to feel really comfortable in yourself or your environment for you to really thrive. So someone could offer you a great job, but it might not feel right. And those are the type of things that could be considerations in week 3. Despite this, from the 17th to the 22nd, Venus forges a great link to Uranus. Now, of course, Venus has a reputation of being the planet of relating, but it's also about loot. So in your 10th house, it's either a professional relationships or influential relationships, or it could be about money or the package. And someone could offer you something that you really weren't expecting, and actually it can really delight you. How would it play out in a more romantic situation? Well, I think if you and your partner are very united, if you're in a relationship, and your partner's prepared to be more flexible about their contribution to the domestic side of things, then this will free you up to focus on the opportunity that may suddenly arise. If you're single, the chances are you could meet someone through your work, entirely possible. And from the 16th to the 22nd, there could be a chance to transform your finances whilst also making progress around those goals and ambitions, as the Sun forges one of the most influential of influences with Pluto. Pluto's about change, it's in your second house, that's your foundations, but also about money. You could receive rewards for a lot of past hard work, or maybe there's more change that needs to go on within your inner world in order to seize the opportunities that may emerge in your outer sphere. The 23rd, however, is probably one of the most important moments of the whole month, because we have the autumnal equinox and the start of the third cardinal quadrant. And really for all of us, we're thinking about how we relate and interact. But for you, this is about your higher hopes. And you kind of understand that because Jupiter makes you aspirational. You want to see the best side of situations, or you have a philosophical outlook, or an appreciation of history or culture or travel or different traditions, which gives you an edge. So when the Sun travels into the 11th house of the community, your natural spirit aligns very well with this area. So the following month can be a time when you can really thrive. It's not just about what you know, it can be about who you know, and your networking skills can really sparkle. Now there's a consimi between the Sun and Mercury, despite its retrograde, very briefly, and then Mercury reverses into your sector of success. So the consimi could mean that you receive an email, or you have a brainwave in the middle of the night, which is really ingenious, but maybe that requires you to flex again and maybe pivot around a property matter, a financial opportunity, something to do with a job, and maybe there's more rethinking to do. Although Mercury retrograde can be a bind, and we know it can affect travel, transportation, distribution, documentation and technology, equally it gives us an opportunity to go through how we are around those areas and refine and jig and rejuvenate in our approach. So I think Mercury retrograde in the 10th house for you could see you firing off some application letters. Maybe you've done some earlier in the month with the support of the Sun and Venus, and Mercury's pushing you to follow up. Don't just leave it to drift. Get on the front foot. So make sure that you're not passive in your communication at this phase of the month. Mercury then goes on to forge a stunning link with Pluto. You can be someone who really gets the big picture, but I think at this point, this is very much about seeing the detail around a contract or a negotiation, and your ability to cut through the froth and really get to what's relevant is going to be absolutely awesome. The 24th, however, may see some disappointment. It may see a highlight. Venus is in opposition with Neptune. Neptune is in your sector of your home and your emotion, and Venus in your sector of work. Is there somebody that you really admire, whether it is in your personal situation or in your community, and maybe this person could just come up short? Equally, you could encounter someone who absolutely really sees you trip the light fantastic. You think they've got great ideas, they express themselves in an imaginative way. If you're someone who really enjoys social media or watching different visual stuff or films or performance, you can really have a magical time around the 24th, which brings us to the new moon of the 25th. Absolutely glorious for you, because your ruler Jupiter is pivoting right on the 7th house cusp of this. So this is your 11th house linking with your 5th house. Something really magical can ensue over the 3 or 4 weeks that follow this around your love situation or around your social situation. As ever with Jupiter, it's always important to keep one foot on terra firma, not to get too blown away or set our expectations too high. But generally speaking, I think there's a lot of hope in this particular new moon. And then Venus moves into the 11th house as the month comes to a close, suggesting that your popularity could really go through quite a period of enhancement. Now, there's also a great link between Saturn and Mars as the month comes to a close, the last 10 days. As much as Uranus and Saturn is quite a punishing aspect this month for your nervous system, I think the angle between Mars and Saturn suggests that if you have a conversation with someone that you really respect, or you have forge a contract, it really could be a very robust and very positive for you, despite Saturn's retrograde. So say what you mean and mean what you say around negotiations in the last 10 days of this month, or if you're a sporty Sagittarius that's wanting to test yourself out, I think you can find the right balance of aggression and discipline to really do well. But it could be at work that you could be more competitive. But in general, a good end to the month for you, I feel, Sagittarius. Opportunities to prosper in terms of your goals and ambitions, but I think your nervous system can remain a little bit tender, so important to try and get those early nights and look after yourself the best you can. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, take care, and goodbye.